Hey there guys, it's Carly. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, I hope that you stick around and hit the subscribe button. In today's video, we're doing another plan with me, and I'm going to show you my simple minimalist bullet journal spread for the month of March. But also make sure that you stick around for the end of the video, because I'm also going to be talking about how I plan from a teaching perspective, so my units and my lessons. If you watch my January and February plan with me videos, you would know that I am on a journey when it comes to the whole bullet journaling situation. I'm into the idea, but man, my January one sucked. My February one was a significant improvement, and for March, I'm really looking to level up the game and have that aesthetics and organization on point. So here in Australia, if you're from other parts of the world, we are entering into the autumn season, or as the Americans love to call it, fall. So I decided to go with a little bit of an autumnal theme. You can see here from my little intro page, I've got a lot of leaves that are turning different beautiful shades, and I kind of tried to keep that sort of burnt orangey brown situation going on throughout. I'm not an artist by any means, but you know what? I think my leaves are looking pretty dang good. I gave it a red hot go. On my title page, I started off strong, and then as I was getting down to the monthly overview, I made a boo-boo and decided that it would be a fantastic idea to rip out that whole page, but rookie error, I forgot to rip out its little friend page on the other side, which means that when I started going through my weekly spread, I've now got like a piece of paper that is sadly hanging loose, and you'll see when I flip through the book at the end that it is quite noticeable. Unfortunately. I mean, I'm really new to this whole thing. I'm giving it a good go. Some new things that I incorporated into my monthly overview page was, in addition to having a monthly goal or goals, I've also created a space for to-dos. So if I have any big events or birthdays coming up that month, I can write it on the first page. I did also try to up-level my aesthetics for the monthly overview by creating a nice little vine up the top underneath the March and a few leaves on the side of the actual calendar. once my monthly overview page was done, I moved on to the weekly spreads. And one thing that I really liked from my February bullet journal was just the very simple weekly spread, just with the black boxes and the different days. So I really did sort of adopt that same philosophy for March as well. But something that I changed up was the size of the boxes. So in February, I added an extra box or an extra space down the bottom of the week for a weekly goal. And I tended to make it a little bit more intangible. So what sort of mental state or physical state did I want to have during that week, rather than something that I could physically tick off the list. And I really just found like it was a nice way to sort of set the mood for the week, but it wasn't really anything too practical. So I ended up ditching that space and instead used the additional space to add to my weekends. I do find that yes, I have jobs and meetings and etc. throughout the week, but that my weekends actually tend to be a little bit more busier, because since I work full-time during the week, it's really the only time that I have to dedicate a good chunk of time to any of my YouTube stuff. So it gives me a chance to sit down, do filming, do editing, info tags, thumbnails, all those little YouTube jobs that, while I do have time to do them throughout the week, once I've gotten home from work, I'm not that inclined to do so. So I kept my nice burnt orange theme going on here, and on each of the days I coloured in the actual day space there a nice colour. I sort of mixed it up from one week to the next, so one week might be brown and orange, the next might be yellow and red. And then in the little spaces that I had between the days, I was able to draw some nice orange and brown decaying but beautiful leaves to add that fall/autumn feel. And as you can see here, this is my final product from the opening page through each of the weeks, and then on to kind of like my monthly overview. So I've kept some similar things as what I did last month, my books, my monthly mantra, but then I also added a space for a night routine because I found that I really want to level up my night routine. In my February plan with me, I got a comment asking if I could share how I go about planning a unit and a lesson. So I just want to share with you guys a little bit of an overview of that if you are a teacher or if you're interested. So when it comes to planning a unit, it really does depend on what the assessment task is going to be, because I will have to backward map the core skills that I want the students to learn. But some things do remain the same. So in the first week of a unit, I consider that to be the introductory phase, and I will do things like assess their prior knowledge, introduce them to the unit, do some brainstorms, some research, group activities, sharing of ideas, really just to get a bit of a big picture on what the topic is going to be about, and sort of set them up with the foundational kind of the foundational stuff to equip them for the rest of the topic. The main chunk of any program will be, you know, the next, say, 5 to 7 weeks, depending how long it will be, and that's where we really start to immerse ourselves in the text. So this will depend on whether it's a close study or if it's a more broader topic. So obviously close study, we're just looking at one text. So the sort of content that I will run during that time will be things like character analysis, scene analysis, themes, TEE charts, all of that to really like look in depth at the one text. But if it's not a close study and I'm looking at a variety of texts, I'll try to choose a range of text types, and I'll have different activities sort of for each text. So it might be reflective writing, creative writing, a steel paragraph or something like that. It might be questions, it might be a group annotation. I kind of like to mix it up a bit. Even if we are doing a close study, I really try to mix my lesson structure up so that I'm not doing the same thing all the time. So I've got a bit of a toolbox, if you like, of learning strategies that I like to kind of incorporate into any unit. And then probably the last 2 weeks at the end of a unit prior to the assessment task will be assessment task skills. So refining over the text type structure, showing them samples, annotating samples, looking at the marking criteria, drafting, editing, peer sharing, all of that sort of stuff, so that they're like creating this product that's not just slapped together and handed in, but they're really thinking about the process and really editing and refining it prior to submission. So they're kind of my 3 big chunks for any unit. When it comes to a lesson, I'll probably like to sequence my lesson into 4 segments. So with the exception of year 12, because it doesn't really work for year 12 because they have their prescribed text for each topic, I will spend the first 10 minutes of every lesson reading. So I will choose a text and bring it in, and we will read together as a class. I will model read to the students, but I will also often ask for people to volunteer as well, because I feel like it increases their confidence. I like reading at the start of the unit. I find it I find it a very settling thing. It's a nice routine and it creates that consistency in my lessons. And it also just exposes the kids to books. The amount of times kids have come into my year 11 class and they're like, I've never finished a book, and bragging about it like that's such an achievement for them. So it really just, you know, gets that off the table straight away. And I'm trying to pick texts that are engaging and allow them to see different cultures, different perspectives, empathize with different situations. So I'm really intentional about that. Some students read ahead because they don't want to be reading with the class there, and then I will suggest to them other books that they might like, or offer them to bring in their own book to be reading during that time. Then the first 10 minutes of our lesson will kind of be like a recap of what we've done, and sort of similar to how I plan a unit, it will be some sort of intro activities, whether it's a brainstorm, a think, pair, share, some sort of questions or communication type task. The main chunk of the lesson, which will probably be about 30 minutes, will be either looking at a text or some sort of deep writing task. And then the last 10 minutes will be a wrap up, consolidation. It might be editing, it might be sharing aloud, getting students to share what they have created, or reporting back, ideas or findings that they found throughout the lesson. And then obviously we'll pack up for the day and the lesson will be done. So that's kind of like, in a nutshell, a very simple way of how I try and figure out the unit and the lesson process. I do try and incorporate like a range of speaking, listening, group, individual, creative writing, analytical writing, viewing tasks throughout. So yeah, like I said, to keep the kids engaged, to keep it fresh all of the time. And yeah, that's that in a nutshell. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing my March plan with me and hearing about how I like to plan out my units and my lessons. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe down below. And if you have any questions, comments, or video suggestions, make sure that you leave them in the comments section. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye guys.